Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 27 of the Bandwagon Hockey Podcast. Been about a week or so. A lot has happened. We've had some weird scheduling conflicts so far in the playoffs, so we haven't convened since the Bedard lottery, I guess, last Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot has happened. Like, Toronto's been eliminated. I mean, the entire second round has ended. I don't think any of the second round series were done when we convened last.
Yeah, I don't
On the last
remember
pod
now. Yeah,
because so I mean, I guess we got a whole bunch to get to. Ryan, how are you?
I am doing pretty good. Other than the fact that we last time we were talking, I don't think any were finished because last time we were
Definitely
talking,
not.
maybe two times ago, we were talking about a potential all Canadian
Yeah.
Stanley Cup final, and that is out of the question now, along with
Yo.
several other teams I would have liked to see advance. So I'm sure
Yep.
we'll talk about that later too. But some interesting results nonetheless.
I
How
think
how are
that
you doing? How you
I'm
feeling?
good. I have a little bit of a cold. I don't know if you can tell my voice is a little bit coarse, a little bit congested, a little bit of a sore throat. Um, No, but I was just gonna say, I think that leads into sort of a natural segue into like, what are your thoughts on this Final Four? I know a lot of people are upset, or I don't want to say upset, but like, you don't have your traditional hockey markets in this Final Four, and people are all up in arms about it. So like, I'm curious to get your thoughts because I'll give mine after you give yours.
Yeah, see, at first, like base level fan, I feel like I'm not too invested in it because there's not so many or superstar players left that I'm like individually, personally, like invested in following, other than maybe a few on Dallas, and obviously like Matthew Kachuk.
Yep.
Um, there's not that like superstar factor. But what I do really like about it is that it is kind of those non-traditional markets, and it's
Yeah.
all hot like weather markets as well too,
Yeah.
which is
Like,
like really non-traditional hockey. Like not only is it non-traditional hockey markets, but like it's just straight up hot weather where like you wouldn't expect necessarily hockey to succeed.
so I saw,
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was the top seven or top eight, but four of the most southernmost teams out of like the top seven or eight, oh my God, how do I word this? Four of the seven or eight southernmost teams in America are in the Final Four. So it's like Dallas, Vegas. Obviously, those are two warm weather states, and then Carolina
Mhm.
and Florida. So I mean, it's
I
just like it's all southern sort of non-traditional hockey markets, and I'm kind of pumped about the matchups. I'm actually really excited for both series.
off the top of my head too, like I don't know Carolina's tax situation, but at least three of the four are tax-free states too.
I think
Which
Carolina is the one that isn't tax free, but it's like extremely low.
right, right.
Like
So there's
like
there's that factor too, which may or may not have something at play.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just thinking one of the teams that's also so southern is Arizona. So I was just actually I remembered that we're supposed to get the Tempe
Yeah.
vote today. So I was just checking Twitter quickly to see if we've gotten that. I don't think we have. Do you
I've
know what
checked
time
it.
that's supposed to drop?
No clue. I've checked a couple times today. Just um, on. I assume I have Twitter notifications on for like Elliot Friedman and a few others. I
Yeah.
assume I'll see that come through when it happens, but we have not gotten it yet. No.
Okay. Anyway, let's talk about the playoffs. Okay, so Dallas, Vegas, Carolina, Florida. Who are you like? Which series are you most excited for? And now with your Cup final pick, both teams, and your Cup winning pick out, who you got from here on out?
Yeah. So unfortunately for me, I am way more invested in the West series between the two. I just personally watching Carolina doesn't do much for me. The Panthers, they can be fun to watch, but just both the Golden Knights and Stars, I think, bring a lot more reasons for me to watch,
Yeah.
just between the players that are involved. Um, so who I got? coming out of each series, though, I'm going to stay on the Panthers bandwagon. I'm going to take them coming out of the East now. And I'm going to go Stars. I'm going to go Stars out of the West.
Can you imagine how weird it'd be if Florida won this freaking cup? Like,
I know.
ever
Like,
since Keith Kachuk sort of called them out for being soft, they just went on this massive roll. They got into the playoffs on like the second last day of the season. I think they were the 16th team into the playoffs. Like, this is the Cinderella run of all Cinderella runs. They came out of the gauntlet division, and they were the afterthought of that division.
Matthew literally took the comments personally and was like, nah, I'm not taking this verbal abuse from my father. It's not happening.
It's actually crazy. And then did you see what he was saying in that post-game interview after they finished the series off against Toronto? He was talking about how they don't really want Florida anymore.
Yeah.
Because the fans were chanting, "We want Florida." They were also chanting, "We want Boston," but it was the "We want Florida" chants that went viral as soon as they lost.
Yeah. Also, another comment of his that I thought was pretty like savage was at some point in, I don't know if it was that interview or, anyways, after they beat them, he like really went on to talk about how he respected Boston. Was like, nah, I don't even want to talk about the Leafs right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Savage.
I don't know, man. I'm so shocked, and I know everyone is. I'm so surprised by this Final Four, and I'm so intrigued to see like who the heck's gonna win this thing, right? Like, think about it this way: one of Alexander Barkov, Jordan Stahl, Mark Stone, or who's the Dallas captain? Jamie Benn are gonna lift the cup first.
Yeah, that's so strange, but also
isn't that wild?
Not that I really want to give the Stulls much spotlight here, but they're also playing each other, which is kind of cool.
Say that again. You just cut out a little bit.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, like, I don't want to give the Stulls too much of a spotlight, but they're playing each other in a conference final, which is kind of
That's true. That's true. I'll give Jordan Stahl all the time, and spotlight in the world. It's the other two that don't care for too much. I think I want a Florida. I think at this point, I picked Vegas to win the cup, but I think at this point, I want a Dallas-Florida final.
I forgot you did that. You sly bugger.
Yeah, I did pick Vegas to win it. But I think I had a Final Four of Boston. I want to say I had New Jersey, not Carolina. And then I also had Colorado and Vegas. So my cup winner is still alive, but like I don't even care about that because we didn't bet on it or anything. Like, we just picked it. So now I'm kind of at a point where I kind of just want Dallas to win.
I don't have a single Final Four left.
Yeah, it's tough.
I had Toronto.
I don't think anyone does.
I think I had Toronto, New Jersey, and then Avalanche, Edmonton, and obviously just did not happen. Did not happen again. I think my bracket last year was really brutal too. So a couple years in a row, I need to get it together for next year.
I think I want Dallas to win.
I was gonna say, who do you have now coming out of these two series?
I hate to contradict my bracket, but like,
you gotta reevaluate though. You asked me to reevaluate.
Yeah. It just sucks because for you, reevaluating is easy because none of your picks are alive, but my pick is still alive. But like, in terms of desire, like from an entertainment value, I don't know, man. Like, this is super nitpicky of me. I freaking hate watching Vegas because of those ugly gold jerseys. Literally, that kills it for me. And good. Like, I don't know how closely you follow Jay Fresh. I actually know you definitely do follow him closely. Once his teams are out, I think like he has rooting interest in Pittsburgh, and actually that might even be it. Maybe a little bit Toronto because he's from there. He only cheers for teams based off of the camera angle and their jerseys because he wants the game experience to be aesthetically pleasing. And dude, Vegas's jerseys are just so bad. The gold, I don't know when they switched that. If that was this year, I haven't watched a ton of Vegas this year. But they're old. Year. They're old, sort of like matte silver / metallic color with like the hints of gold and a little bit of red was so good. And going all gold was such a mistake because it's such an ugly gold and it looks like something about the texture of the jersey looks like lizard skin or some shit.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it is.
No, I loved their original ones. I bought one. I
Yeah.
bought a signed
Yeah.
stone one. It's up in my living room here, but
Yeah.
like those were beautiful, and now just they've fully committed to the whole gold bit, and I don't love
Yeah.
it. But
I don't love it.
yeah,
No, so I'm gonna pick Dallas and Florida. That's the final I want. And in terms of who I want to win, I think I'm gonna stick with Dallas. I'd love to see Pavelski get one. I kind of love that team right now. Wyatt Johnston, like him coming
sick.
out of nowhere, not even out of nowhere, he was a first round pick, but like just another piece to the puzzle of this on the fly rebuild. Dallas is doing what everyone thought the Rangers were going to be able to do,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
No,
except Dallas didn't even bottom out to get that top pick and second overall pick like the Rangers did to get Kako and Lafreniere, although they didn't actually bottom out to get Lafreniere. Dallas just straight up rebuilt on the fly. They still have Sagan and Ben combining to make nearly $20 million, albeit in sort of revival seasons from both of them. But they have this first wave of players in Robertson, Heiskanen, and Ottinger, and now they've got Wyatt Johnston coming. They've got Ty Dellandrea. Oh no, Dellandrea? No, Stankoven, Logan Stankoven. I think Dellandrea as well. They got both of those guys coming in the prospect pool. And I don't know, I kind of just love Dallas for that reason. Just rebuilding on the fly, having basically two separate eras on the same team.
yeah. I've never given Dallas their cookies. Like I don't know, man. I even a couple years ago, I completely forget that they ever went to a Stanley Cup
Yeah.
final.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that they would get back there or even close to it with Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin on the contracts they're on.
Yeah.
So that's making, yeah, like you said, it's making this kind of on the fly retool really, really impressive.
Because I'd love to know if that's ever happened. A team being this successful so soon after a recent playoff run / Stanley Cup final run, and be this successful with the same core on the team. You've got Sagan and Ben still on the team, but in a lesser role. Like, not even on second contracts with the team or what have you. Like, these guys are making the same money they did when they were first line elite players. And now they're sort of like middle six guys, maybe even bottom six. I'm not terribly sure. And they're just like supporting guys for your Jason Robinson, your Rupe Hintz. I can't believe I forgot to mention him.
Yeah,
he's been like he's caught Smythe right now if Dallas wins.
Yeah, he might be the most underrated player in hockey now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm ready to take that away from Barkov because he's had it for the last decade, and give it to Rupe Hintz because that man is not talked about enough.
No, he's not. And I think the argument can be made that Barkov has had the title for a little bit too long.
Yes,
because he's straight up won a Selke trophy and makes $10 million. Like,
and
people just called him.
He wins it in the players, the PA like survey that they do every year.
It's like, come on, once you win a Selke, like, get over it. No, because so I wouldn't say Barkov's been most underrated for the last few years, but it just the consensus is it's always been Barkov, and I think it's going to get past the Hints. But if they go win a cup, or even now that the games are going to be down to one a night and everyone's going to be watching Dallas, and then Hintz is going up to I think just over $7 million next year on his new contract. I think he'll lose that title pretty quickly, and we'll have to anoint someone new as the most underrated player. But between Robertson, Hintz, Heiskanen, Ottinger, Wyatt Johnston, like, just Dallas is going to be around for such a long time.
Yeah, they're stacked.
It's so impressive. Did you know that Sagan was actually the highest paid player in the NHL this year by salary, not AAV, salary?
That's wild.
He made $13 million this year.
Are you sure nobody made more than that?
Yeah, I checked it today.
Huh.
Yeah, like, pretty crazy. McDavid made
a jacked year.
Nah, McDavid's at 12 this year. I'm not sure if he has a jacked up year, if he's like more or less between 12 and 13 every year. And then the next highest is Panarin at 12.5.
Interesting.
And Sagan's at 13. So it's kind of crazy. Like, you got your I don't know, 5th, 6th, 7th best forward as the highest paid player in the league, and you're this successful as a team. It's pretty incredible. And with that being said, you've got these Vegas Golden Knights who are what, 15, $14 million over the cap. I don't think people care about that as much as they did a few years ago because every team's like that now. But super underrated, not even underrated. Jack Eichel quietly having a wicked playoff run. He had 9 points in 6 games in the second round against Edmonton. Defensively, he was elite. I'm not sure how much of the series you were able to watch just being on the East Coast, but like his minutes latched up with McDavid were impressive. Mark Stone's been an absolute monster, and which is crazy because I didn't even know he was going to be able to play in these playoffs. Like I thought he was done for the year back when he was shut down for the season due to another back injury. Petrangelo's been sick. Aiden Hill's sort of stepped up in the wake of the goaltending sort of injuries that they've had, and I don't know. It's gonna be a good Western Conference final, man. Two really sick teams. Anyone complaining about how it's like a weird conference final because of the markets or what have you, like just who cares, man? Just
Oh
appreciate the
yeah.
players, watch the games. Just hockey's
The
growing, and it's what you
the
want.
the West is not at all what I expected, but like it's a top tier matchup still.
Oh
Like
yeah, it's the
these
one
are
and two seeds. Like
these are two of the probably top like 4 teams I would have wanted to see up there anyways.
yeah,
I would
if it
like
wasn't,
if it's not Edmonton or Colorado, these are the next
yeah,
two I want.
that's what I was just about to say.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to word, and it was not coming out right. But
Vegas was number 1 in the conference. Dallas was number 4, and Dallas was 1 point behind Colorado and Edmonton.
yeah, so like it's not weird by any means. It just kind of feels that way. Also, Vegas has now gone to 4 out of 6.
Yeah,
Can we talk about that?
yeah.
It
4
sucks, and I
conference
hate it.
finals out of 6 in their existence. So I saw a funny tweet today, and it said, "I I don't hate the idea of the teams not being absolute dog water as soon as they get into the league. Um, Obviously Vegas caught lightning in a bottle with some of their expansion trades, like the Shea Theodore thing, where I think Anaheim paid them to take Shea Theodore rather than like Adam Henrique or something. There were a few scenarios like that where that allowed Vegas to go to the Cup final in their first year when they absolutely should not have been able to. But since then, they've just been balls to the walls, getting the biggest names they can, signing whoever they can, doing whatever they can to fit
Yeah,
the most expensive and star-laden roster on the ice, and they've done that. My only issue is that with the expansion rules now, teams. So I saw this tweet today. Teams would be better off. Like if okay, here let me paint a picture. If
okay,
you were one of the, I don't know, if you're there's probably 25 teams in the league that this might apply to, maybe a little less. If you had the option to fold your team and re-enter the league under expansion rules, like most teams in the NHL would do that. You get a clean cap sheet, you get all your draft picks, you get all this and all that, and you get to pick off a player from every roster. There's at least 20 teams that are taking that offer right now,
yeah, 100%.
which should not be the case.
You get a full team's worth of second liners essentially, and that
Yeah,
depth is, like you said, way better than like probably at least half the league. We've
and a
seen it
fresh
with
cap sheet.
Seattle. Like Seattle obviously wasn't they didn't get all the benefits that that Vegas did, but it took them 1 year to build on it. And they
Yeah.
were basically right there in a game 7. So to go to a conference final. So I don't know. It's kind of an interesting conversation if it's swung too far the other way. Is expansion too powerful?
I mean, it's you got it. See, my thing is, I don't even necessarily know that it's too powerful. It's just actually, you know what? Yeah, it probably is. Like, I just don't. I can appreciate what Vegas has done in their ability to just like go all out chasing a cup right from the get go as a team. They didn't even try to take the slow approach like Seattle did last year. And then all of a sudden, all of the luck that didn't go Seattle's way last year went their way this year, which allowed them to win a round of playoff hockey. But I just don't like the idea that if you had to choose between keeping your current on ice slash cap situation slash draft pick situation versus just folding and restarting under expansion rules, like most teams would pick the latter. And I just don't think that should be the case. Like expansion teams shouldn't be good. They shouldn't be like all-time terrible teams like they always were in the 70s and 80s, but they should be bad, right? Like I don't know. I don't know.
They, they
I don't
should
know.
probably still be getting a top 10 pick in the next
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's tough too though because you look at it, Vegas tax free, players are going to want to play there.
Yeah.
So they have an inherent advantage with players sort of forcing their way there or signing there, what have you. So they sort of got that benefit
It's
with
also
becoming a new
Vegas.
franchise. That too, and then with Seattle, like not tax free, but still probably a pretty wicked place to live, like a huge city on the Pacific West Coast.
State
Or
of the
sorry,
art rank.
Pacific Northwest, state of the art rank, like massive facilities. I don't know. I mean, it's tough. Like if you had the choice in free agency, are you going to go to Seattle or are you going to go to Calgary? Like, would you rather play in Climate Pledge Arena or would you rather play in the Saddle Dome? Like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that also are the perks of being an expansion team. You get all new facilities, you get everything new, versus going to a building that's what 30, 40, 50 years old. So I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to say. I don't know what I would change about the expansion process. I just think that there's just so many good players now that a lot of them are just blocked. And when they do get plucked in free agent or not plucked, plucked in expansion drafts, they end up like finding better roles. Like Jared McCann went from sort of like third line skill guy that's like not an ideal archetype for a player being in the bottom six but being reliant on your skill
Yeah,
to
but
40 goal scorer. And then William Karlsson went from afterthought on the Columbus Blue Jackets to 40 goal scorer and just et cetera, et cetera.
yeah, didn't Toronto acquire McCann to
Yeah.
protect Kerfoot or something like
It was
that?
to protect Hall.
Hall, oh, right? Oh my god, even
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
That's
So
funny.
basically what Toronto did was they did the 4-4. So you pick 4 forwards, 4 defensemen.
Hmm.
So by doing that, they allowed themselves to protect Hall. And then by acquiring McCann, they basically ensured that they would have one of McCann or Clearfoot going into the season. And obviously Seattle took McCann, so Toronto was able to hold on to Kerfoot, which in retrospect does not look good. We can get to Toronto in a bit. We still haven't talked about the Eastern Conference. I'm really looking forward to this series. It's going to be a very like forechecky, gritty, dump and chasey series, I think. But I'm really excited to see just sort of these guys who weren't really in the spotlight all year, like your Sebastian Aho. I mean, what are we talking about? Matthew Kachuk's been in the spotlight all year. Doesn't matter where he plays, but your what's his name? Carter Verhaeghe, your Aaron Ekblad, like all these guys, Brandon Montour, like all these guys that have sort of flown under the radar all year because of the markets they play in, just get some spotlight in the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see what it looks like, but I don't. This is one I'll be on the bummer side. This is one I really didn't want to see. This is an East final. Like out of all the teams in the East that could have got to this point, this is probably one I really didn't like. It's harder to get up. Hard for me to like get up and get excited for this one. I don't know.
Yeah,
There's
because you were hard
nobody.
on the New Jersey train, right?
Yeah, but like almost literally anyone else. I'll say this: I'm not a fan of watching Carolina at all,
No,
especially
they're
without like Svechnikov. It
yeah.
just it's a hard watch, and I just don't care. Um,
It's
that being said, maybe the Panthers make this like a really fun series and kind of drag the fight out of them a little bit more. And
yeah.
I don't know. So we'll see.
It it'll be interesting because both rosters are built so differently, right?
Hmm. Like
Carolina is so deep.
when the alternative was Maple Leafs versus Devils, I'm just
Yeah,
like
that's the sting. That's what
I'm like
stings.
ah, it's
You
tough.
could have had this like fire wagon series between the Leafs and the Devils, and now we have this. I don't even know what to call it. I don't even know what you'd call this
It's
series.
literally
Like, it's
just
not going to
forecheck
be.
city. It's forecheck season.
Yeah, like it's. I think I forget which account said it, but it was basically saying like the top forechecking team in the NHL is going up against the second top forechecking team in the NHL in the Eastern Conference
Hmm.
Final. It's gonna be, excuse me, it's gonna be the most like ugly, gritty playoff style series you're ever gonna see, and
Hmm.
I just don't love that. I want skill. I want cool goals. I want lots of goals. I want to see a Michigan in the playoffs. I don't care. I want to see that.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. We're not going to see it in this series. But I don't know. Like who do you want to win this series? I assume Florida because like you're not a fan of watching Carolina.
Yeah, I would definitely go Florida. I'm not a, yeah, it goes as little as
Okay.
that. I'm just not a fan
Okay.
of Carolina. There's no like individual player on that team off the top of my head that I really care to watch and like really want them to win a cup
Yeah.
off the
Brent
top of my
Burns.
head. Um, oh yeah, okay, Brent Burns, that's fair. That
That's
is
the
a
only guy for me. That's the only
yeah.
guy for me.
Um, when when I was gonna go to like Matthew Kachuk and Colin White on the other side, that makes it look a
Yeah.
lot more valid.
Yeah. Well,
But
I'm just
like Colin White, as a Sens fan, it's hilarious just watching him like
oh,
out there in on this big stage. It's so funny.
it's so funny. And then like Florida also signed like Chris Tierney and
Oh
like
yeah,
Rudolph Balsers and all those guys at
Delzano
the start of the year.
is in that
Delzado.
organization somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. It's somewhere buried deep inside. Delzado could potentially have a Stanley Cup ring at the end of this season.
He's just doing his own real estate thing down in Florida, probably.
Down in Florida. With
Did
his
you ever see
tax-free
that?
mortgage.
He got
What?
his real estate license like during the season when he was in his last year with Ottawa.
Yeah, no, I definitely did know
Yeah,
that. That's so funny. Okay. So we both want a Florida Dallas final. Is that kind of fair?
yeah,
All
absolutely.
right, who do you want to win the cup
I'd
out of
probably
those
go
two?
Dallas. Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
with Pavelski for sure. I would love to
Yeah.
see that in the cup.
Yeah, me too. Okay, let's move into sort of some eliminated teams slash off-season stuff for maybe the next 10 minutes or so. This is going to be very Maple Leafs based, so buckle up, everyone. So obviously, a lot of stuff going down in Leafs land. A lot of decisions have to be made. A lot of contracts need to be settled before the season. Dubas kind of said it's going to be Leafs or nothing for this upcoming season. And then Elliot Friedman kind of implied that they were working towards a contract, then it kind of stalled out. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Um, I personally want to see him stay in Toronto, but I want him to get so much money and try to move as far up the ladder as he can. I don't really understand why Dubas's name comes up so much more than Kyle Shanahan's. Brendan Shanahan's, sorry. Because Kyle Dubas, despite being the general manager, doesn't actually have final say. From what I've read, doesn't actually have final say on roster decisions. It's
Mhm.
Brendan Shanahan. And all this Matthews, Nylander, Marner, Tavares, this is all called the Shana Plan. And the Shana Plan hasn't worked. So it's really interesting to me why Dubas has been under so much more fire than Brendan Shanahan. Because I think it'd be interesting. This is what I hope happens. I doubt it happens, but this is what I hope happens. Is Shanahan's out, Dubas moves into president of hockey operations and gets final say on all decisions. What say you, Mr. Heinman?
See, I say something very similar, but I am also very confused by the reports of like who has the final say in what,
Yeah,
because Elliot
it is
Friedman
weird.
has been very much like Kyle Dubas doesn't have the final say on everything right now, and like
Yeah,
that will be a sticking point in the next contract.
yeah,
But on locker room day, he was up there alone and saying, "I'm responsible. I made all the
yeah.
calls." So, like,
Well,
what's
he's not going to
happening?
blame Shanahan, right?
No, he's not, but I don't
The
know.
media
It's
could twist what he says if he says, like,
yeah,
I'm
you're
not the
right.
only one who is making decisions, kind of thing. Like, if he doesn't just own it all, then, like, the media could go and spin that and be a PR nightmare.
But like previously, they had appeared together at the end of the year,
Yeah, that's true.
which is why it's worth noting. Um,
I just think the thing that's weird, like, I don't. I don't really know.
But I'm fully on your side here.
Yeah,
I don't understand why Shanahan automatically gets the pass where everybody's coming for
yeah.
Dubas's head,
It's
because
weird, right?
Dubas did everything he possibly could, and although I don't think it's a, a successful season to win one game in the second round, he did get there, and that was like his bar for not getting
Yeah.
fired and getting a new contract. He did it, so give
I
him it.
think though.
And
I think
I don't think it should be that simple. I think he should hold them for every penny and every piece of power he can get out of them, because
because
he
he got all the
deserves it.
leverage, right?
He deserves it, and he
He
very much
flipped all the
deserves it.
leverage.
Yeah.
But so where I disagree with maybe with what you just mentioned about the first round being the bar, I get that sort of was the goal coming into the year. But does it not feel super underwhelming given how they lost in the second round and who they lost to?
No, I agree. I agree that
I think that's where everything has changed.
I agree that it's still not a successful season, but you're like, it felt like the benchmark was, you don't get out of the first round, you don't have a job. And he
Right.
did that. So like, how do you like quantifiably tell him that he's not coming back when he did that?
I think A, things change. Things
Yeah.
absolutely change. I think B though, I think when you say if you don't get past the first round, you don't have a job, does that necessarily imply that if you do get past the first round, you do have a job? Is that a straight 50-50? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
And I
that's
think
fair.
all year people interpreted it as a 50-50. You get through, you get a job, you don't get through, you don't get a job. But then this sort of shitstorm with the Florida Panthers, those of the 92 regular season points, come along and kick your ass in 5 games, take your lunch money with their $10 million former pumpkin of a goalie and their I don't know, their bottom six that makes a combined $3 million or
And
whatever.
and then there's the question
Um,
if he even wants to come back, because like
that too, that too.
it didn't necessarily sound like a resounding yes in his comments on the way out this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. We can maybe get into some mock trades type thing a different day. I had a couple in mind. I really like the idea of Nylander to Colorado, especially with the Nichushkin stuff and with Landeskog being confirmed out for all of 2023-24, which is brutal.
Hmm.
But we can talk about that a different day once maybe the season's done actually and the draft is coming up and stuff like that. But I'm curious to get your thoughts because now we've sort of talked about the front office, but like obviously the most important decisions from a fan's perspective, because like let's be real, the fans really who's in the front office doesn't really matter to the fans, at least the casual fans. It's who's on the ice. And I'm curious, Ryan, like there's no way they can just run it back with these same 4 guys. Like you gotta think they trade someone, right? Whether it's advisable or not, like you gotta think they do.
Yeah, I
Whether it's the right
gotta.
decision or not, like I feel like it's
Yeah,
going to happen.
you're right, and I feel like it's 90% going to be William Nylander, and it shouldn't be. But
You think it should be
um,
Marner?
I think there's a case for Matthews, but
Holy mother, what?
I think there's a case. If he's going to demand 13 plus, and you're not going to be able to move to Varys, Marner is the heartbeat of that team, and Nylander is by far the best value.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does that leave you?
Cause yeah, you're right, actually. We've had the conversation that like Marner is the base
Because
of this
I
team.
I've gone over this time and time again in my head, just thinking about who it should be, and I don't know. Unless you like just plop in Riley and trade him and call that
Yeah.
a big enough change, but I don't know.
I would trade Morgan
But
Riley in a second.
he also has a big new contract that I don't know if they're
And
going
it's
to
probably
use.
got a lot of no move stuff on it.
Yeah. So I
Slash
don't
no
know.
trade stuff. But yeah, the Matthews, that's interesting because like he's gonna so I think the general consensus is that he's going to take another 4 or 5 year deal, which
Yep.
will take up. He's in his prime right now, so that'll take him to sort of like the end-ish of his prime, take him to like 29 or 30 years old. My
Yeah.
best guess is he takes like a 4 year deal. I want to
Well,
say 13 a year because there's
well,
no way he's not going to be the highest paid player.
I don't know if you've listened to the newest 32 Thoughts, but like
I've
Elliot
got about
Friedman
I've got about
believes that
25 minutes left in it. Yeah.
Elliot Friedman believes it's going to be 4 or 5 years, and
And
the
then
Maple Leafs are willing to make him the highest paid player in hockey on that
as
deal.
they probably should. I mean,
Yeah.
if McKinnon gets more than McDavid, then Matthews should just get more than McKinnon. Like that's just how it works. Like
Mhm.
if you're a top 5 player and your time to get paid comes up, you become the top paid player. That's just
And
how it works.
and that he's very much not looking for the max term. He's looking to set himself up for one more contract and then still
Yeah.
have the opportunity for a max term, which is really
Which
cool,
is
and I love it.
genius on his part. He's going to maximize how much money he makes in this league, and I love that.
Mhm.
Because when it's all said and done, he signed the 5 year deal at 11.6. Call it 57 million. I think that actually might be bang on. No, that'd be 58 million. And then call it a 4 year deal at 13. That's another 52. And then he'll be 29 when he hits the open market, 29 or 30. I don't know how old he is right now. I think he's 24 or 25. So call it 29 years old when he hits the open market after his third contract. And absolutely no chance he doesn't take max term on that one to handicap the shit out of whatever franchise gets him in his age 35, 36, 37
and
seasons.
and will surely have a
Oh,
fucking wicked cap bump by
the
then.
cap will be at like 95 by then.
It'll be over 100 by then. By his
You think
next
so?
contract? Yeah, it's gonna bump to over 90 when it goes big in the next like year or two here, I think.
2028. Call it 2029 when the next.
I think it's gonna be closer to 100 by the time he would sign his next.
I said 95. Okay, call it 100. Like he'll get. I don't know. However freaking much he wants. Honestly, like
Yeah,
in unrestricted free agency, dude, that's gonna be a bloodbath for him. Holy crap, that's gonna be cool. That's gonna be cool. And
Arizona is playing the long game.
Yeah, they're gonna. Oh, dude. So, I saw
when
like
they
the
have
funniest
Cooley
thing.
and Mitchkov, and sorry,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
In 4 years too, like four. So I guess 5 years because he's got 1 year deal, one more year on his current deal. So call it 5 years from now, after Matthews re-signs with Toronto for a 4 year contract, it'll probably line up perfectly when that Tampa rink comes along.
Oh my god! Wow.
Oh baby, that'd be
If they get
crazy.
approved here tonight, imagine they just don't get approved and move to
Oh,
Houston before next
oh,
season.
that'd be crazy. Oh, there's no way it'd be before next season, would
No.
it? Okay, probably
There's a
next
couple
year.
cities. There's a couple cities that have rinks open, and like, would they want
It's true.
Arizona just playing in ASU while they figure it out? Who knows?
Does Houston have a rink ready?
I don't know if Houston has one, but I know
Okay.
Quebec has one, and there's one other one in the States that does. I don't remember if it's Houston or not.
Was it like Utah or something? Something in Salt Lake City or something like that?
I don't know, but also Sacramento
Okay.
kind of came up out of nowhere this week. But
Okay. I wonder if the Houston Rockets arena has a rink in it.
yeah, I'm not sure.
Interesting. Okay. So yeah, lots gonna happen in Leafland. What other teams got eliminated? God. New Jersey's out. They're gonna be so good again next year. I'm really excited to see what they do with Meyer and Bratt.
Right. Yeah, that'll be very interesting.
I personally don't think they're gonna retain both. I think one of them will be traded. I would lean towards that being Jesper Bratt because I think he's going to get a big old bag of money, and I don't think you want two wingers making big old bags of money. And Timo Meyer is better than Jesper Bratt.
Yes, sir.
Jesper Bratt, and so it's going to be it's going to be really interesting in New Jersey too because they need a goalie. Akira Schmid looks like he'll be the guy. Vitek Vanacek is probably not the guy. And there's a couple guys around the league that might be leaving their current situations, a.k.a. Winnipeg, a.k.a. Nashville, a.k.a. probably not Vancouver anymore, a.k.a. Anaheim. And so It'll be interesting to see if New Jersey goes and chases a goalie because they have so freaking many assets that they could trade from.
The goalie carousel could be super interesting this year.
Yeah, yeah.
Another one that I kind of saw a tweet about that I feel like everybody has forgotten. Is Leonard coming back next year?
I think he's supposed to. He's under contract.
Yeah, that was a name I just completely forgot too. So that's another name. That
He signed a 5-year deal in Vegas.
Yeah, but I'm sure they're gonna look at what they can do with that. No.
Oh, well, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think he's gonna be playing next year. It's probably just gonna be a matter of where.
Yeah.
Because like Logan Thompson's got to be their guy now, right?
You'd have to think so. I don't know
gotta
why it
think.
wouldn't be. We
Yeah.
can. If you don't have much else there, do you want to talk Edmonton quickly and wrap it up?
Yeah, let's do that. I was actually just about to jump over that because we kind of already talked Seattle a little bit. So we'll wrap things up with Oilers. Disappointing playoff run, but I don't know. People are calling it a failure. Like, they lost to Vegas. Vegas was the top team in the West. Like, I don't think this isn't like Colorado losing to Seattle. This is like, I don't know. They lost to a really, really, really good team.
I don't know. I still see it as a failure. I
Abject, no holds barred failure of a season from the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, how do you waste that season from McDavid when the Stanley Cup champs are out? Like, you got to the Western Conference Finals last year, and
Vegas is the best team in that conference, though.
Were they better than Colorado was last year?
No,
but
Edmonton got swept by Colorado last year,
and Edmonton is better this year than they were last year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's more of a failure than last year, 100%.
I think they lost the second round series that was quite literally a 50-50 coin flip. Like, that was a 6-game series, and 5 of the games were blowouts in both directions. I don't know. I get it. They wasted the year of McDavid, and they wasted another year of Draisaitl, and Draisaitl's now 1 year closer to becoming the highest paid player in the league. We've had that conversation. That's kind of funny. There's going to be like 4 straight seasons of players resetting highest number. It's literally like McKinnon just did it, then Matthews going to do it, then Draisaitl, then McDavid again. It's going to be hilarious. And then honestly, Bedard's going to be right in there too.
Yep.
Yeah. But no, I mean, like, I get it. It's cup or bust at this point for Edmonton, but I don't know that I'd say just losing to another elite team is necessarily like a failure. I don't know. It's a disappointing season, but I would call Colorado's season a failure before I would call Edmonton's season a failure. Colorado should have stomped Seattle.
I see. Okay, yeah. It's a failure, but I don't think it's any more of a failure. Colorado is a shambles of a team of what they were last year.
That's true. I forgot about Nichushkin. Landeskog was out.
Kadri gone.
Kadri gone. Yeah. Okay.
It's a way different team.
I have a hard time calling a team a failure for losing to the top seed in the conference.
And that's fair. I think they should have beaten them.
Yeah, probably, but that's like a 50-50 series, I think, to be completely fair. All things considered, like, I think that series, neither outcome surprises me in the least bit.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting,
it also just sucks to see a team go backwards. Like, they were I know it's not really backwards, but they were in the Western Conference Final last year, and I don't know. Like, to see McDavid not get any closer to the cup is a little disappointing.
Do you have any issue with the idea that, like, I think this is the Canadian market factor because all eyes are on Edmonton and Toronto because they have these top-of-the-line superstars that have not had the amount of playoff success that you come to expect out of top-end superstars in team sports. Do you take any issue or annoyance by the idea that, like, these teams need to blow it up and shit? Like, just consider this, like, Washington didn't get past the second round until they won a cup, and that was 14 years after drafting Alexander Ovechkin. Crosby's different. Tampa didn't win shit. They got to the final a couple times, but they didn't win anything until 2020. That's 12 years after they drafted Stamkos. Who else? Like Chicago kind of won right away, I guess, but like Boston hasn't really done anything in the last 10 years. Like they went to a final, but like
Yeah, I
okay. I don't know. It just like the NHL is such voodoo and so many great players retire with like one cup. So you know how like every Hall of Famer has like 3, 4, 5 cups? That
yeah.
era is done.
Oh, 100%.
Like that era is done. And I know we've had this conversation before where like you can't measure a player's career with cups anymore because there's 32 fucking teams. But
Like two to
like
three cups now is the gold standard.
gold standard. Like to that
Yeah.
Jonathan Taves, first ballot Hall of Famer because he has 3 cups. Sidney Crosby has 3 cups. He's not going to win another one.
Hmm.
First ballot, obviously a lot of other things considered. Like McDavid's gonna get probably like he might win a cup in his career, depending on like maybe where he ends up after Edmonton. Like it wouldn't shock me if McDavid didn't win a cup in his career. Same with Matthews. Like cups are not easy anymore. Like
I know.
half the teams in the playoffs make the
it
half the
would
teams in the
shock
league
me
make the
for
playoffs.
it would shock me for McDavid. I don't think it would shock me for like any other player in the league, but it would shock me for McDavid.
Like when Edmonton was winning all their cups in the 80s and Gretzky had his 4 cups in 5 years, whatever, like I think there were 21 teams in the league. So 16 out of 21 teams made the playoffs, which basically meant that you have a kick at the can every single season if you were like even remotely competent or
Hmm.
like not an expansion franchise. And now it's a genuine struggle just to get into the playoffs. Like remember last year, Edmonton came out to like a brutal start. I think they were like I'm not even gonna try to guess, but they were under
They
500. I
always
think like
they always flip flop in the regular season.
they do, and like this year they were sort of playoff, like they were sort of a shoe in to make the playoffs because they came out to such a great start. But last year they
Hmm.
kind of had to scratch and claw after a tough start to get into the playoff picture, and then they ended up going to the Western Conference Final. This year they sort of walked all the way there and then lost a little bit early, and it's just this freaking league is so random, man. The Florida freaking Panthers are in the conference final for God's sakes. Like I don't know. It's
See, I think this bothers you a lot more than it bothers a lot of people.
the what?
Just the fact that the Stars don't always get so far.
The Stars don't always. No, I'm like almost the opposite though. Like I'm borderline unbothered that McDavid didn't win a cup this year.
Oh, right. Okay.
Because like again, the league is so freaking random that like I just don't know if you can base it. Like eventually you gotta think McDavid gets a cup, but it's still decently early in his career.
Yeah.
Like he's not even
Yeah,
halfway through his career.
I think that's a ridiculous conversation to be having at that point if that's the argument. Yeah.
But people are always so quick to run guys out of town. And then you
Because
look
it's
around the league and it takes 10, 15 years just to get to a cup final when you get the right mix around you.
yeah, it's just the Canadian market. It's how it's always going to be.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's kind of how I started this little rant. Is like, I think it's just the Canadian market attitude.
Yeah, but like also, I don't know, man. It's I can understand getting impatient about the competitive window because it's very much closing and it's
Yeah.
the very real possibility that he's leaving Edmonton. Like it's with every year that you lose, it's bigger.
So it depends on which standpoint you want to look at it from. If you want to look at it from Edmonton's standpoint, then it's like, holy shit, clock's ticking. We got to win with this guy. From McDavid's standpoint, he's going to make the playoffs another 10 times in his career.
Oh yeah, I don't know if he ever misses the playoffs.
That, yeah.
Yeah.
But like and just think 5 years ago, Ovechkin was on his cup path. Like everyone was prepared for that guy to retire without a cup.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I don't know. This it's a weird league. I don't like reading so far into I don't know playoff runs. I guess because of how random it is. Look at this season. Like, Florida Panthers are in the Eastern Conference Final. And I don't know. I definitely know I'm in the minority here, especially in hockey, because everything's based off of team performance. But I don't know. I don't even know what I'm arguing right now. Like, I literally don't know where I'm
having a
going
hard
with this.
time like trying to respond to this because I don't know what you're arguing.
I literally don't even know where I went with this. I don't know how this started.
Because I think you're getting mad at people saying that McDavid's not going to get a cup, but I don't know if I've really seen that conversation.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm getting like pre-mad or something. I don't know. I'm not like...
They should trade McDavid.
Edmonton's cup window is slowly like... It's got another year or so before they have to make some hard decisions, I think. Like, they got one more big year, I guess. But like, McDavid's window is nowhere near closed. That's like, I guess that's the point I'm trying to make.
And I think that's maybe where we were getting mixed, because I see this as a failure from the Edmonton Oilers standpoint.
Yeah,
and probably don't see it as a failure from a McDavid standpoint.
Yeah.
And that's probably a good way to tie this up.
Yeah. Because like, I don't give a fuck about the Edmonton Oilers. I care about McDavid. Like,
yeah,
I do not care if McDavid wins a cup in Edmonton at all. I just want to see that guy lift a Stanley Cup someday. So, preferably as the captain and as the catalyst, not as like a sort of like bottom of the roster dude. But anywho, all right, that went on a little bit longer than I expected it to. I think we're good to end things out here, unless you got anything further.
No, I was kind of hoping we would get Arizona news while we were on, but it doesn't look like
that would have
that's
been
going to
cool.
be the case. In quick other Ottawa Senators Homer news, the bids are in, so we will find that out. Looks like later this week what the preferred bid will be, who the next owners of the Ottawa Senators will be after a very convoluted and long process. So I'm happy that will be done with, but outside of that,
I'm so sick of reading the words Andlauer and Sparks and
just it changing every 2 seconds is super annoying. And I'm the second like Reynolds dropped out, my heart, it was out of it. I don't care anymore.
Oh yeah, I lost interest. Interest.
So yeah, that's the one other big thing. But yeah, if you've got nothing else, then I think we can probably wrap.
All right. Hit that outro. Episode 27. It is Tuesday the 16th of May. Good luck to all the teams in the NBA draft lottery tonight. The basketball version of Connor Bedard will be landing somewhere. So yeah, go basketball.